What if at the doctor's office, the doctor informed you that you had a very serious infection? Wouldn't you feel off-put or distracted if the doctor did not create a sense of urgency? Excuse me. If your mechanic found that you had a crack in the engine, wouldn't they create a sense of urgency that you get it fixed and taken care of before the engine breaks down and leaves you stranded in the middle of nowhere? If your plumber found that you had a cracked sewer pipe under your house, wouldn't they create a sense of urgency that it would need to be repaired? First of all, before your basement filled up with sewage. Second of all, before the erosion of all that liquid under your house damaged the foundation and damaged your house in retrospect. I think what you'll notice in common here is that when all of these professionals see a problem, especially a profound problem that can have a major effect on how you deal with your situation moving forward, or the importance of something that is vital to your well-being, as soon as they see a problem, they let you know what the solution is, but they do it with a sense of urgency. It is something that needs to be affected immediately. What would you think about a teacher who sees a problem with a student, an ongoing issue that will affect how they learn, how their performance is based, how their materials will change over time, or a big problem that may affect their ability to have a career in the field? How would you feel about a teacher who saw that problem and let it go? Or who said, "That's not my problem"? Or who told a student once, "You really should change this," and then let the matter drop? You'd probably feel that that was a student or a teacher who was not concerned, a teacher who didn't care. And if at a time later, that student looked back, if they said, "That was a teacher," wouldn't you rather the student look back on this and say, "There was a teacher who pointed out a really obvious issue that I had, and then they helped me work through it so that it never became a problem ever again"? Or would you rather have them look back and say, "I had a really big problem"? Come on, let's get the move on here. "I had a really big problem, and this teacher pointed it out to me one time, and I didn't pay attention then, and it really hurt me later"? My guess is that's not the kind of teacher that you want to be, and that's definitely not the type of teacher that you want to be remembered as. We know that when we're dealing with a student who needs help, we know that facts probably aren't going to sway them, and even benefits aren't really going to sway them. So as such, like we've talked about in earlier podcasts, I would urge you, go ahead and lead with that need. Tell the student what they need to achieve, and tell them how they're falling short, and tell them how they can fix the problem. Just watch out, though. You want to be kind, and you want to be assured of what's happening. You want to make sure that it makes sense to them, that it's not just somebody complaining all the time about poor work performance. Make sure you let them know this will have a direct effect on how much you get paid, or this will have a direct effect on on what grades you will get. If you cannot present your work professionally, you will not get good grades. If you cannot complete your projects fully, you won't get good grades. If you don't have good follow-through on your assignments, you won't have good products, and you won't have a good portfolio, and that will mean you will have a hard time getting a job, and people will think they can pay you less because your work is not as good as they've seen. So make sure that you start by leading with the need of the problem. Okay, the problem is your work continues to have bloody thumbprints on it. And every time someone looks at your final pieces, there's a bloody thumbprint in the corner because you keep cutting yourself. You may want to invest in some gloves. It may be something simple like you need to work ahead so that you're not working at the last minute 28 hours without sleep on the final project because you didn't start until 2 days before. As you begin trying to talk with this student or coworker about the issue at hand, make sure that you begin by leading with the need, but also make sure that you are listening. You're listening to what it is they're saying, and not only what they're saying, but how they're saying it. You're working with their verbal as well as non-verbal cues to make sure. Are they fully picking up the information? Are they buying into what you say? Is your solution easy enough for them to understand? Because if it's not easy for them to understand, how are they going to implement it? Have you laid out a possible solution to them and asked some open-ended questions? The next vital step in this discussion is once you have led with the need, once you've told them this is what needs to happen, and you've outlined what the problem is, and you've discussed with them what the possible solution might be, you need to create that sense of urgency. It is one thing to point out that there is a problem. Hey, your gutter is leaking. It's another thing to add on some facts. If your gutter leaks, it could get too heavy and fall off the house, causing damage. Or, if the water backs up, it's no doubt backing up and pouring onto the roof. That's going to rot out the edge of your roof. That's going to be a very expensive repair. Similarly, you might even go ahead and point out the benefit. Hey, if you pay $300 or $400 for new gutters now, you can set things up in such a way that you won't have to worry about a $600 or $700 repair down the line. Why not spend the $300 today? It's one thing to go ahead and lay out a problem and some facts and some benefits to making a change, but you are not guaranteed to change someone's mind. The best thing that you can do is to add that sense of urgency. Hey, if you don't fix this today, your house is going to rot. Or, hey, if you don't fix this today, this water is going to wick up. It's going to ruin more than one structure. You might need a whole new roof. Instead of a $700 repair, you're talking $10,000 or $12,000. You got to do something about this today. Once you start setting in the sense of urgency, if you have a solution that is easy with a sense of urgency, most students will step up and make that change at once. If you have a solution that is not easy, that is in fact quite difficult, then only a sense of urgency is likely to make them change their mind. Hi, you know you can only miss 10% of our classes. There are 16 weeks. That means you can miss 1.6 classes and still stay in this school, but you've already missed the 1.6 weeks. You've missed 3 classes. If you miss one more or if you're tardy, I have to drop you from my class. Please make this adjustment today, or I will drop you from the class and you won't get your monies back. Maybe that will be something that will get their attention. So, what's the best way for you to build that sense of urgency? Well, moving along as we are, not long ago we talked about using word pictures to pay someone, to get someone to pay attention. So you want to use word pictures here, especially if you have a visual learner. You want to use word pictures here, especially if you have a visual learner. Vividly paint for them in word pictures what they're going to gain if they make this change today. Talk with them about the satisfaction of great grades. Talk with them about the satisfaction of a fully completed project that turns heads and gets recognition. Talk with them about the great portfolio they're going to have, and talk with them about how excited people are going to be when they see it, or talk with them about how they're going to have bargaining power when they start talking salary. After you've talked with them about the benefit that they'll receive in vivid detail, talk with them about what they're going to lose if they choose not to make a change. Talk with them about what they're going to fail at or what's going to go away from them. Now, when you use these words, the words that you use are going to have to appeal to their emotions, because you want them to make a quick change. And if you remember from our earlier podcast, rational decisions are long-range decisions. They're not spur of the moment. But small decisions are based around emotion. The quick decisions. I've got to do this now. And the biggest emotion that you can play on is fear. Fear will make someone do something right now. And so you'll find that if you talk about how great the benefit is by talking about the feelings and emotions that people will have, and you talk about how in the long run you're going to see these rational changes, but right now you're going to see these emotional changes. And then you start to talk with somebody about what they're going to lose, and you talk about the disappointment and the shame and the comparisons. You probably don't want to use shame, but if you talk about the emotions of what they will lose, people will see that and they will begin to have a thought that perhaps they should go ahead and make that change now so they don't have to worry about those emotional issues later. A good example here is a dieter. I've been on several diets myself. Now, down at the end of the salad bar, there's chocolate pudding and sweet strawberries and whipped cream and desserts. Now, on a diet, rationally, I know that I should eat the salad and not the dessert. But emotionally, I can't say no. I feel like I've worked very, very hard on my diet, and I feel like this idea of working hard on a diet deserves a reward. And so, sure enough, as I go down to the end of the salad bar, I sure do pick up that dessert, because emotionally I need it. And emotions make us change faster than rational thought. So, to help our students change their minds, we really have to find a way in which emotion can be brought into play, especially when they talk about what they're going to lose by not making those changes today with that sense of urgency. Maybe you think about this in a domino fashion. If you don't do that, this is going to happen, and then this, and then this, and then this, and all because you didn't want to do this now. You caused yourself to lose out on $10,000 a year, and it will take you, let's lie, 7 years to get the money back that you could have started with, and that's 7 years of raises that you lost out on. Problems like that are something that will really grab people's attention. The human mind works in pictures. So, to apply this knowledge today, think about some issues that pop up from time to time with students. What are they? How are they brought to bear? What are some typical problems that they find? What are some easy solutions? And what are some solutions that aren't so easy but need to happen? Once you've got all those set down in stone, practice some word pictures. Write them down. Practice saying them until you have a good idea that you know and understand what can be done to solve them. Practice the emotional tones of what you're going to say and how those word pictures will come together, and make sure to definitely practice what will happen if they fail to make the changes today. Maybe it is that everything unravels and they become a mediocre talent. Maybe it is that their work is just not as good as it could be and they lose out to someone else in the class who pushed themselves just that tiniest little bit harder. Maybe they lose a job that they've currently got because their work is not up to snuff enough for a new client, and the new client takes an old client with them. Think about these different things. Maybe it's something that instead of making the decision today, they miss out on the next 2 projects getting poor grades, and project 3 is the one where they finally pick up. But because they waited so long, they're not able to get the A in the class that they need. Or the work for their portfolio suffers, and they have to make 2 new pieces for portfolio because they couldn't get to work immediately. So, think about your situation, see what you can do, lead with what the need of the student is, and look to several issues that pop up from time to time, and see that you can make it happen.